What's up, guys? This is the Tranquil Living Uruguay podcast. I'm Vanessa, your host. I'm back. I'm back from a little hiatus, and after taking a bit of a break, I thought we'd do something a little different, just a casual kind of podcast, and have a little catch up, giving you insights on winter happenings and life lately here in Uruguay. So let's get into it. Winter isn't coming, it's here. Winter is from June to August here in Uruguay. And remember, we are in the Southern Hemisphere, so the seasons are opposite to those in North America, for example, and what I was used to in the US. And being on opposite timelines of the year in terms of seasons felt a little weird at first when we moved here, but after 6 years, I've just gotten used to it. It's pretty normal now. So, being mid August, we are currently on the tail end of it. And the great thing about living here is that winter is usually mild. There's nothing too extreme. It's very temperate. Winters are usually mild here. There's no extremes actually on either end. On like too cold, there's no snowing blizzard, and there's no extreme heat. Growing up in the south of the United States, I'd say winter here is very much like the Gulf Coast of the United States. And I actually enjoy kind of experiencing different seasons because it takes away from the monotony. We actually got a lot of rain this past week, and it affected some areas. There was hail, fallen trees in some areas. But I mean, we were actually spared. It didn't affect our power or anything. I think like northern rural parts of Uruguay is what actually got affected. Coming from a hurricane prone area, these storms are pretty mild and don't concern me. So with winter comes cold and flu season, especially if you have school-aged kids like I do. In the past, we got hit pretty bad with being sick. Maybe I think it was like our body getting used to like the viruses here and the germs, and this was like preschool era of my daughter. Could have been a COVID strain, I don't know, but it hasn't been as bad since then, I would say. And then when you do get sick, you have to go to a pharmacy here to get cold or flu medicine. We don't have like a Walmart or Target type catch-all store where you can get like, medication or cold and flu medicine. You have to go to an actual physical pharmacy for that. So ibuprofen and Tylenol are available here. They call Tylenol paracetamol, and I haven't really found anything as good as like a strong Sudafed PM or a Dayquil NyQuil equivalent back in the US. That's what I used to like taking. And I haven't found that here. For sore throats, doctors like to prescribe a syrup. They call it a jarabe, but it kind of just soothes the throat for the moment. Doesn't really do too much, I would say. Same with throat lozenges or lozenges. I never know how to say that word, but anyways, those candies that you suck on for your throat to make it feel better. The strong stuff with medicine doesn't exist here. We do have this one like candy that is honey flavored, but like I said, no medicine. It just kind of soothes in the moment. If you live in Uruguay and you know of stronger stuff, please let me know. I'd be so thankful. I usually take vitamin C here throughout the winter. I usually do the tablets where you can, the chewable ones, or the ones that dissolve in water, kind of like an antacid. You just drop a little tablet in the water. And then a local friend of mine here recommended this multivitamin that you can get at the pharmacy called Supradin. And I usually try to take that during winter to help with like my immune system because there just aren't, in terms of like multivitamins, there aren't many options here, to be honest. I think if you compare to the US, you'll just see in general there are very limited options and brands for things. In general, if you're like a supplements person, you're going to have a hard time getting what you want here because either options are very limited or what is available is just really expensive. So I always recommend just kind of bring as much as you can in your container if you are moving here or plan on going back to the US for visits. Bring back as much as you can while you're traveling. At the pharmacy here, you can pretty much get anything over the counter like antibiotics, for example. The pharmacists are pretty knowledgeable and they give good advice. And speaking of medicine, I did speak about getting medication in my previous healthcare podcasts. You can go check those out. I did a part one and part two of private healthcare here in Uruguay. And if you just walk into a local pharmacy, like the Pharma Shop, for example, is one of the pharmacy chains here, prescription medicine will be more expensive than if you were to get a medicine, a prescribed medicine from your doctor at your mutualista, which is your tier two private health. So now I'm happy to be in August, past the harshest point of winter, I would say. It honestly hasn't been that bad. Like I said, winter has been mostly dry. We've had some showers, which was much needed. So, interesting story. My neighbor, she raises cows, and she was actually running low on water for her pond for her cows. So, the government actually sent her a truckload of water to fill up her pond and help with her cows since it was running dry. So, I thought that was kind of neat. And then as you go about winter, the one adjustment when moving to Uruguay is the quality of homes. Because obviously you realize, this as you move through the seasons, but in terms of winter, there's no home insulation and homes don't have central AC. Therefore, it's common to heat your homes here with wood burning fireplaces. You can pick up wood from like your local leñeria. Leña is the name for wood here. Or you can have it delivered to your home as well. We are, to give you an idea, we are spending about $50 like every 2 to 3 weeks worth of wood. And we mainly use it just in the evenings and in the mornings on weekends. So some people stock up for wood in the off season just to be prepared, and it comes out cheaper that way. So that if you do have space in your home, depending where you live, that could be an option for you. As for our bedrooms, we heat our rooms with individual AC units. So before going to bed, I'll turn it on in our rooms to get it warm at night, and then I just turn it off because I personally can't sleep with hot air blowing in my face. So I just turn it off, and the room does stay pretty warm. And if you have and if you have plenty of blankets, you'll be fine. So a funny thing, it's winter when you're out and about because it's also pruning season here in Uruguay. And this usually happens in July and August timeframe. You'll see in the streets, you'll see tree cutting crews just literally chopping off the tops of these like really big trees along the side of the roads. And I live in, it's kind of a funny sight to be honest, because you'll just be driving down a road and it's just the tops of trees all chopped off. And I live in wine country, so there's a lot of farmland as well as um, like orchards and pruning activity in the area with the vineyards. So there's usually a lot of activity for pruning here in the winter. Oh, then okay, so this year we experienced the community excitement around the Uruguay national team going to the World Cup for the second time. It was more obvious this time around than the last time in 2022, maybe because back then it was still COVID era times. So this year there was just like a ton of like hype and excitement around with like merch, flags, street vendors selling things on the side of the roads. We personally bought flags and shirts, and stores were decorated with Uruguayan gear and flags. It was just back in June, it was just like a really fun atmosphere kind of leading up to the games. And especially at my daughter's school, too. Her teacher made their class of 12 as an Uruguayan soccer team, and they worked together on activities and team projects with just that hype and excitement around the World Cup theme. So that was really cute. It was really cool to see how the World Cup here really brings kids and families and friends together and the country as a whole. It was really fun because at stores there'd be like really nice like World Cup jingles and like just World Cup themed everything everywhere. So for the World Cup, most people watch at home. Comparing it to Super Bowl back in the US, if you're out and about in the stores, there's like lots of sales on like big screen TVs and things like that because people like to watch at home. And Uruguay is a really small country. So, more likely than not, locals actually personally know the soccer players. They're either like childhood friends, a friend of a family member, grew up in the same neighborhood, or somebody, for example, like my cleaning lady, she like is really good friends with the aunt of one of the Uruguayan soccer players. So we kind of got a little inside scoop on the team, and they're traveling there to the games and things from that family member. So I personally watched the first game at one of the mercados in Montevideo. The mercados are usually these large food halls with like international food stands and kind of like a drinks area. And my daughter was at a coincidentally at a birthday party for the first game at that exact time. So I ended up watching it at the Mercado on the big screen. And the other two games we did watch at home. So for Uruguay not to win a game was actually really disappointing, but at the same time, it was really cool just to see the hype of Uruguay and all the support here in the country. So so the school winter break happened in July, the first week of July. It was a week long. This time we stayed local. Normally we travel to Bariloche in Argentina. It's a beautiful mountain town in the Patagonia. We love it. There's snow with skiing and snowboarding, great breweries, amazing, delicious chocolate shops. And we went the last 3 years, but we didn't go this year because now it's significantly more expensive to travel to Argentina. And we just we just decided to forego that trip. But if you do have an opportunity to go to Argentina, Bariloche is absolutely beautiful during winter. That is where we go to get our winter mountain fix and to touch snow. So during winter break, we stayed local here in Uruguay, and it's a great time for local entertainment in the arts, I would say. Lots of theaters have shows that are targeted towards kids since they are on a 1 week vacation. And it's also a great indoor activity because it's a little chilly outside. So I love seeing live performances and I just really appreciate the performing arts. That is one of the reasons why I wanted to live in or near Montevideo because of having the opportunity to go and have these experiences and see performing arts. So this year we ended up seeing one musical that was Alice in Wonderland and an Aladdin musical. And both were actually fantastic. They put on a great production and it was actually beautiful, high quality costumes. I personally was like really impressed. And the theater we had gone this was the first time I'd gone to the Sodre Theater. It was really nice and beautiful. And the tickets were just like $15 for balcony seats. It really wasn't, you're not going to break the bank going to see a musical or a play or a performance as a family. So that was really neat and fun. Another fun thing that we did was the chocolate festival. So there is this festival called El Festival del Chocolate that happens one day, once a year in the town of Nueva Helvecia. And Nueva, Helve- Nueva Helvecia is an hour and a half from Montevideo on the way to the city of Colonia del Sacramento. So it's this cute little small town or pueblo that is known for their influence of Swiss and German settlers from like the mid to late 1800s. And they call it the Swiss colony, La Colonia Suiza. And so the festival is held every year on one day, and this small town, you can tell like the small town thrives on this yearly event. It's really cute. You can tell a lot of people attend the event, and there were just so many like coach buses that seemed to bus people in from different parts of Uruguay to attend. There's live music, lots of food vendors and artisans out selling locally made things. And we actually almost didn't go because of the weather. It was very like overcast like rainy, cloudy, kind of like that misty rain going on. And then it was cold, but we braved it anyways. And we went and we actually had a really good time. It's called the Chocolate Festival, but they mainly mean like hot chocolate, the drink, not necessarily actual like chocolate you can eat. So, but I enjoyed drinking locally brewed beer. I had a really delicious cheese fondue, and the hot chocolate, of course, was a hit. So, well, that pretty much wraps up winter happenings here for 2026. Thank you so much for listening or watching. If you liked this episode, please like, follow, subscribe to the channel to support me and so you never miss an episode. My goal of Tranquil Living Uruguay is to be your passport to Uruguay, a place I call a hidden gem south of the equator. And remember, life abroad doesn't have to be perfect, but it should be tranquil. Cheers!